Hi guys, and welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. So today we're going to continue our look at the Takara Tomy Dinosaur series by looking at these two. So we're going to be looking at the Allosaurus and the Stegosaurus. So you can see we've got a new turntable for the channel. You can see they're spinning around nicely on there. There they go. Good fun. So yeah, we should be able to get some nice 360s of those today, and we're going to have a close-up look at each one. So let's start off with this guy, the Allosaurus. So starting off with the pamphlet that comes with the Allosaurus, you can see here the rest of the dinosaurs in the wave. We will be reviewing all of these bar the T-Rex skeleton, which I've yet to pick up. We've got the Triceratops here, we've got the Stegosaurus, we've got the Allosaurus there, we've got the T-Rex with feathers, which is cool. And then we've reviewed this guy already. It's the Spinosaurus aegypticus with prey. And you can see the Takara Tomy Arts logo up there in the corner. Okay, so let's break this guy out of his packaging. So inside the packet, we've got the Allosaurus here in parts. You can see we've got two leg pieces, we've got a tail piece, and we've got a body and head joined piece. We've also got a little plastic stand here. Let's get a closer look at that first of all. So Takara Tomy didn't need to include this, but they have anyway, and that's really nice. It's a little plastic black display stand with a nice gold plaque there. You can see in Japanese lettering, and then the translation underneath, it says Allosaurus. And there are two little peg holes there for his feet. Okay, so let's get this guy assembled and take a closer look. So here is the Allosaurus assembled and out of the packaging. And the first thing I have to say is I really like this paint scheme. It's really bright and colourful, and the sculpt is very detailed too. Okay, let's take a closer look at this guy. Starting off with the head sculpt, you can see we've got a really nice roaring head there with very detailed teeth. They've been very carefully painted and have been sort of weathered at the base. You can see there they go darker as they get towards the root of the teeth. And I really like the range of colours they've used on this Allosaurus head. They've got some nice creams going into this beautiful bright turquoisey green, and then this nice red on the peaks, and then a yellow eye as well. And there's some nice shading going on around the eye and also around the teeth, as I previously mentioned. And then you can see the inside of the mouth has been carefully painted and sculpted. For something of this size, I mean, you can see the size of my thumb here, how small this model is, and for the detail, it's absolutely astounding. The eyes are actually very genuine, and that's something I've picked up on the Papo figurines. The eyes are very, very good on this one, and they seem to have employed the same technique where you sort of add shading around the sort of perimeter of the eye to bring out the colour, and they look very realistic indeed. As we go down the neck, you can see we've got some nice spines going along the back there, very reptilian looking, a bit like an iguana. And you can see there's a nice gradient of a dark green to a cream here going across the neck, and that's got nice weathering going on there as well. As we come down to the arms, again a really nice gradient from this sort of dark green to this pale cream, and there's some nice stripes added on the forelimbs there. You can see the individual claws on the hands have been painted. It's just a really nicely detailed little figurine. As we go down to the torso, you can see some of the ribs poking through there. And then as we join up with the legs, which actually look quite seamless considering these were separate parts, you can see the striping is echoed again across the leg, and the gradient goes more from the front of the limb to the back, which is really nice. On the lower leg you can see there's some nice musculature there, sculpted in, and then we've got really nice sort of dark feet to sort of contrast the rest of the body. And you can see those have got individually painted toe claws, and they're really nicely sculpted as well. The only thing I'd say is the feet are placed quite close together. And I know in the case of like horses, for example, when they walk, their feet, they place one in front of each other, almost like in a straight line. But for Allosaurus, it feels a little weird catching him in this pose. It looks like maybe he needs a wee. And then as we go back down to the tail, you can see here the seam is a bit more prominent. Let's see if I can close up that gap. Yeah, you can still see the seam line. So it's not as seamless as, for example, the leg there, but still lovely coloration, lovely sculpt going on all the way along the tail here, and it comes off in this nice little graceful bend at the end there. Carrying on to the other side, you can see it's echoed on this side, all the same designs, all the little nuances with the stripes going on. It looks really nice. And then you can see there's a nice sort of sculpting of the scapula there as it transitions into the muscles of the upper arm. Very nice. And then as we move up to the neck, you can see there's some nice sculpted vein detail. I mean, for something this small, this is staggering. It really is a wonderful little sculpt. And Takara Tomy have done a wonderful job on this one. It really does display very well indeed. Moving on to the Stegosaurus, here's his little pamphlet. You can see there's a nice illustration of the Stegosaurus there. Looks like it's got a really nice coloration, so we're going to enjoy getting this one out of the packaging. And then again you can see all the dinosaurs in the wave and some more Japanese literature. So let's get this guy out of the packaging. So here is the Stegosaurus out of the packaging, and actually you can see this one comes with less parts. It's not consistent with the other Takara Tomy dinosaurs we've had on the channel. Its legs are actually joined to the body, and all that's separate is the tail part and the head part. But as usual we get this lovely stand. Let's get a closer look at that. So here's the black plastic stand. Really nice. You can see the Japanese lettering and it says Stegosaurus there, and we've got the 3 little peg holes for his feet. Okay, so let's get this guy assembled. And here is the Stegosaurus out of the packaging and assembled. I really like this one. Straight off the bat, it's got a really nice pose. I like the fact that one of its forelimbs is lifted off the ground. It's a really dynamic pose. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this guy. So starting off with the head sculpt, it's actually quite a nice little sculpt. It's a shame about the paint job. The eyes are lacking a lot of detail. But what I do like is the brave choice of using a very contrasted colour to the rest of the head on the beak. That really works effectively. Let's have a look at the other side and see if it's the same. Yeah, again the eye could do with a little bit more detail. I mean, if I bring in the Allosaurus, you can see the eye is much more believable on this one, much more genuine. But to be honest, for the size of this figure, I'm not going to hold it against them. Really nice range of colours on the head. You've got some nice pale greens and a nice earthy green with this sort of dividing stripe going down the body that joins up with the neck. The seam is a little prominent. You can't really change that. I'm going to take this guy off the stand quickly because he wants to pop out, and it just means I can get better detail. And then as we move up to the plates, you can see there's a lovely combination of colours on the plates, and it has been theorised that maybe the plates were used to attract a mate, and that's certainly true here. Very bright and colourful, almost like the bright feathers of a bird, for example. As we move down to the legs, you can see there's some nice creases and folds as we join up with the legs. And just overall, just a nice sort of feeling of sort of folded and creased skin all over the body. It's not as well sculpted as some of the other dinosaurs that I've seen. It's a bit general, but it's still very nice, and the overall shape of the Stegosaurus is very nice. What I do like is, oh, there's my phone going off. If you notice in the back there, the hips are really nicely sculpted, very prominent, creating almost like a harsh line that runs along the back. And I'm really fond of that. I really like the almost sculptural feeling that you've got joining up with the back here. It works well with the paint scheme as well, with this dividing line that runs along the back. So that's cool. And I like the way the tail is sort of up in this very elegant pose. It's really cool. I've always liked that about Stegosaurus. It's got this very sort of upright tail look about it, and actually it makes it almost like look very threatening. So I do like that. Some nice creases and striations running down the tail, and then we come to the famous tail spikes. You can see there, they're not, you know, massively detailed, but it's nice to have them on there. And they've got a nice contrast going from this reddy colour, like the plates, to a sort of a bright yellowy green. On the other side, again, nice striations running down, probably better on this side than the other side. Really nice feeling of the hips here and the muscles. You get a much better definition on this side than you do on this side, for example. This is really clear and really nice. So that's really good. And then this dividing line is actually really nicely painted on this side. So I'd say I'd prefer this side to that side, if I'm honest. But yeah, really nice little model. And you look at the size of my thumbs here. I mean, this thing is tiny. The amount of detail that Takara Tomy have crammed in is absolutely fabulous. So here is the Allosaurus next to the Stegosaurus, and I think these two display really well next to each other. You can see the Allosaurus there is roaring with his head cocked to one side, and you've got the Stegosaurus in more of a defensive pose with his tail up in the air. So how big are these guys? Let's bring in the tape measure. You're looking at about 4 inches for the Allosaurus all the way to the tail. That's about 10 centimeters. And in terms of the height, you're looking at about 3 inches, which is about 7.5 centimeters. In terms of the Stegosaurus, you're looking at about 3.5 inches with the tail. That's about 9 centimeters. And in terms of the height, you're looking at about just under 3 inches, so about 7 centimeters. So to give you some idea of the scale, here's the Safari Limited Concavenator, and you can see here that he is pretty big in comparison to these guys. And if you haven't seen the review for this one, it's up on the channel. I'll put a link down below. And next, let's bring in the Collect A Therizinosaurus, and you can see here that Therizinosaurus is quite big in comparison to these two guys. I don't think that mini Allosaurus would have much of a chance, but there we go, you can get an idea of the scale there. So there we have it, guys. That was today's look at the Takara Tomy Stegosaurus and Allosaurus minifigures. I think these figures are absolutely fantastic. If you get a chance to pick these up, they're not that expensive, and I just love the fact that they come with these display bases. They really do look like collector's pieces, and if you've got a whole set of them on display, they look really nice. Let me know, guys, do you own any of these already? Will you be picking them up? Let me know your thoughts on the sculpt and the paint jobs. I'm personally very impressed for the size and price. Okay guys, rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.